Welcome back, everyone, for the BGD Virtual Career Fair. I'm Jamie Taylor, the BGD, or Black Golf Directory founder, and I'm excited because this is the second to last interview for the career fair. So we have gotten through quite a few businesses in the last 2 weeks, and we're finishing very strong. We got two big companies today, one of the biggest companies in the golf industry, the PGA Tour, which I know everybody's familiar with, because if you watch anything on golf, especially with the men, you have watched the PGA Tour. So we have two great guests here to talk about what they do for the company, as well as opportunities there that you can look into, full-time internships, etc. So feel free, be ready to ask questions, put them in the chat at any time. I'll be sure to mention them, as well as if you can't stay for the whole recording or whole interview, I will have a recording of this going out through email tomorrow morning. So be sure to go to the message I put in the chat already to make sure you're registered for free for this event to receive the recording, as well as the job career fair link that they have and any specific jobs that they have available right now. So just getting those housekeeping things out the way. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first guest. I'm going to welcome Sarah to the stage. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Jamie. I am Sarah Beha. I'm a recruiter here at the Tour. I focus on all the recruitment strategies from all the different opportunities we have here, even on the First Tee Foundation side here at the Corbett Global Home. Again, been in recruiting now for 2 years with the Tour. Really exciting, but that's kind of a whole recap of me, myself.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to bring in our next guest. It's Justin Baker. Justin, welcome.
Thank you, Jamie. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Baker. I serve as the manager of player development here at the PGA Tour. Within that, we announced a couple months ago our Pathways to Progression player development program, which is a comprehensive effort to achieve greater diversity in golf through an increased focus on developing talent from diverse and historically underrepresented groups. So within that, we focus on our junior side with high schoolers, preparing them for college golf and career paths outside of golf or within the sports industry. And then our collegiate development program, where we provide competitive opportunities as well as a career path education within the sports industry as well. Thank you for having me, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Thank you both for joining us today. I'm excited to hear more about that. Justin and I briefly talked offline before this, and I just learned, I knew of the pathways, but I didn't know all the in-depth information. So I'm excited for him to share more about that with you. But what I always like to talk to people about is, first, let's talk about the PGA Tour. What are all the arms of the PGA Tour? Because, of course, it is a business. It's not just people playing on TV every Sunday and Saturday and so forth. So, Sarah, can you speak to what opportunities that you offer at the PGA Tour?
Absolutely. So like you mentioned, Jamie, the tour itself, it's ran just like any other business. We are the entertainment of golf. We're headquartered here in Ponte Vedra Beach. We do even have our tournament logistics where they travel with all the different, tournaments where they're setting up, where we offer the remote opportunities. But majority of our opportunities are here in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, from agronomy, where you're studying the grass, to a pilot, to finance and accounting, talent and culture segmented into HR, tournament logistics, to sponsorship, to a social media manager. So it's very broad to think about all the different opportunities the tour has. Anything that you can think of, we do have that. We even have an international department that focuses on all our partnerships internationally and everything. So a little bit of recap of all the different long-term, our internship, we really focus it on the summer of 2024. We've already opened it for applications, so we can talk more about that as well through this conversation, but really showcasing our players, showcasing our employees, and really that positive impact that we try to drive in the golf community.
Yeah, that's some good information. And I want to just clarify something with everyone, because I don't think I knew this until I was good and grown. And again, I've told everybody, if you follow me, that I've been in golf for 32 years. The PGA Tour is different from PGA of America. So if you were with me from the start of this 2-week series, the very first interview was with PGA of America. They are overseeing the people who are the golf professionals that you see at the golf course, and they also have their own tour events. But the PGA Tour is a separate company altogether, and they are located out of Ponte Vedra, Florida, which is not where the PGA of America is located. So I just want to clarify that for everybody who may not have known that there's a difference, and also make it clear that the opportunities that they have to offer, I won't say are way different, but definitely not in the same vein. One of the things you said that sounds really different than any company we talked to is you guys have the agronomy arm. Could you talk about that just for a second? Because I think that's something people don't really hear too much about.
So if you think about all the golf courses that we actually run our tournaments, we need that grass to be perfect, even in a sense of if it rains a lot, okay, drainage too. So really ensuring that the courses are upkeep, the courses are within standard as well for our tournaments. So whenever people go into agronomy, that's something that they can take with the tour and build a career out of and grow within.
So I always like the audience to know, one, if my guests have played golf prior to coming to work at this golf company or any golf company, and if not, what led you to work for the PGA Tour? I'll start with you, Justin.
So it's actually, I'll try not to take up too much time here, but it's a full circle story on my end. So I graduated from Morehouse College back in 2010 with a degree in business administration, focus on management. Had no clue what I wanted to do when I graduated, but I was lucky enough to make a connection with the PGA of America, ironically, where I was an intern doing operations. So kind of along the lines of agronomy, but more focused on like the logistics. So when you see the rope and stake around the holes, when you see the wind screening on the fence, the hospitality spaces, I helped construct that at the PGA Championship every year. So not even realizing the business side of golf, once I got into that position, I made a lot of connections. I networked. I learned about the business side. And I said, you know what? I think this is where I want my career path to go. Not golf in particular. You know, I grew up a sports nut, loved all the kind of behind the scenes stuff about sports. So that's what kind of drew me to operations. But as I did it more, I said, I think there's a little bit more meat on the bone here in sports. So from that, I was able to, luckily, over the past 13 years, have a career in sports in general. I had a sales position with the Milwaukee Bucks. I was there for about 4 years. And then I went to Nashville, worked for the Tennessee Titans for a little bit. Then after that, I was in D1 athletics, running corporate partnerships there. So as you can kind of hear a theme, my foot in the door was sales. The biggest piece of advice that I got as I was coming through and matriculating through my career is that no matter what you do, there's going to be a sales proponent or a sales aspect, or you'll need sales skills to kind of get through it, right? So it can be something tangible. It could be an idea. It can be yourself. So thinking big picture, I said, okay, I think I can go ahead and take that route of sales. And so I did sales through all those years. While I was at the D1 school, COVID happened. So I don't think I mentioned this, but I've been with the PGA Tour for 3 years. September 2020 was my first year. And COVID actually got me here because we weren't activating or selling any sponsorships in the D1 space since everything was halted. Golf was still progressing, right? One of the more socially distant activities that you could do. So the position that I initially came here with the tour was manager, tournament business, and sponsor relations and tournament revenue, which blended my sales background and my corporate partnerships background to help work with the Korn Ferry Tour as a consultant with our tournaments. The host organizations that run our tournaments sell hospitality, sell corporate sponsorships, things of that nature. So that kind of led me, again, full circle, interning with the PGA of America, taking the sales route, then coming to the PGA Tour and helping as a sales consultant kind of got me to where I am today. So it was a long journey, but all well worth it. And, you know, I didn't play golf before working for the PGA of America, before I got to the PGA Tour. I was telling Jamie if that was a prerequisite, I would not work here now. So luckily it's not, but it's been great.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty robust background in sports, but I think that is, like you said, it's a theme working you had this transferable skills from the other jobs that you had that made sense for you to come to the PGA Tour. And I always want people to hear that message, because I feel like, and I thought this myself, I just assumed prior to working in the corporate side of the golf world that everybody was a golfer, not necessarily a good golfer, but at least had to know something about golf. So just knowing now that there's so many people that work in the companies that have zero golf background was an eye opener for me. So with that, I'm gonna let you talk a little about how your journey, Sarah, to the PGA Tour.
Absolutely. So with me, I actually didn't come from sports at all. I've been recruiting since 2015. Started in agency work, recruited for manufacturing logistics. So completely different, world. Then I moved to kind of focusing on finance and accounting. And then I moved into corporate recruiting for another company that, again, manufacturing logistics. So the big thing about starting my career journey here at the tour, I've been here for 2 years now, and it's all about networking, especially in the sports world. It's just making those connections, communicating with people. And I never really thought about having a job in the sports world until it kind of came up, and I'm like, oh wow, this could be it. This is something that I could transfer, my recruiting skills into the lead sports organization like PGA Tour. So I was able to kind of transfer over through networking and kind of got my feet grounded, and really happy that I made that transition, because it is such a change of culture working in the world of golf. It is such a positive, that positive impact is something that I've always looked for. And that's something that the tour kind of drives. Any tournament we have, we're giving back to the community. I golfed a little bit before I started at the tour, not well, but always kind of never really thought about having a career in golf, but I'm really happy that I shifted through. I will confidently say that you don't have to be a huge golfer or anything to join the golf industry. Like Justin was mentioning, just being that positive impact and knowing the charity efforts, that's really big for us.
Thanks. And yeah, I'm glad to hear, I said he had a sports background, but you don't necessarily even have to have a sports background, because there's so many jobs that don't require that level of thinking. It's just, like you said, you're in the recruiting area, so that's transferable anywhere. I have a question in the chat. It kind of goes back to our earlier conversation we were having about the opportunities that are provided at the PGA Tour. Something along the lines of I told you agronomy is something unique that we haven't heard mentioned in some of these interviews. So the question is, as far as if someone wants to work in agronomy for the tour, do you all provide any educational development support? And if so, what does that look like? Are there grants, fellowships, reimbursement programs, anything like that? Sarah, I'll let you take that one.
It's really based off department to department. With some of our operations, for example, our tournament operations, we have people that go out to the tournaments, and we actually provide the CDL license. We help them through that certification process. So it's really department to department of what qualifications needed and on a case-by-case basis.
Got it. So that makes sense. And I think maybe he's thinking also along the lines of Justin was saying that the player development piece, you also have kind of a system in place for that. So maybe that'll lead to an entry-level or internship program. Can you speak to what that looks like and when the applications are available for that?
Absolutely. So very excited. We opened our application process earlier in September. It is an 8-week program in June. It is a paid internship. It's for rising juniors and rising seniors. And then also the cool thing about that internship is a lot of times you may not know what you want to do with your career. You might be in sports management. That internship allows insight of all areas in the world of sports. So say if you make it selected, there is 15 spots, potentially more. It's 15 to 20 spots we're open to. But applications are open, you'll get selected for a certain department, but then aside from your day-to-day, you're not just getting coffee or anything, you are doing the actual work and learning about that department. We are networking you as well. So we'll introduce you to different executives to learn about different areas of the building, the different areas of the organization, to ensure that, you know, you fully engulf that experience. Last year, we even sent one of our interns to a tournament to see as well, which was really exciting.
And I know you mentioned it's a paid internship. So 2 questions on those lines. What is the salary for that? And then also, if an intern is coming from out of state, do you provide accommodations?
Yes, so it is a paid internship. It's $15 an hour, and then we also provide housing. So a lot of our interns, they'll come in from out of state, and all our interns are housed together, and we provide that so that way they don't have to, worry about finding an apartment, finding temporary housing, or anything. That is something that we do as well.
That's really good to hear. Again, that's another unique thing I haven't heard from a lot of organizations, that they provide the housing. Typically, they may give you some stipend or help you find something, but never actually providing a house to stay. So that sounds pretty cool. Okay, so internship, for those who just came in, welcome. We're with the PGA Tour. We just got covered the internship program, so hopefully you caught a little bit of that. But please put your questions in the chat if you have any. I wanted to go to just kind of what the experience is like for you working at the tour. And I'm going to ask Justin specifically because you said you've been there 3 years now, working as a player development. So give us kind of some insight as to your experience working there.
Absolutely. Kind of like historically the game of golf, it's very intimidating for, people that look like me, right? It's historically been viewed as a predominantly white sport. Between the ropes, it still is, but we're working, especially in my department, on increasing the diversity and the visibility for Black golfers. But going through the interview process, obviously, was one thing that I was worried about, right? Like you hear all this talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, so you're worried if it's really about checking a box or if they're genuine and there's action behind it, right? And so throughout my interview, it was a consistent message, which was awesome. And then that's kind of the first step, but you truly don't know until you get in between the walls. And so since I've been here, they've walked the walk right behind the talk during the interview process. As soon as I got here, they got me integrated into the different aspects of our business where we look to diversify our workforce. I actually, even though it's not in my job title, I've gone on recruitment trips with Sarah. So we represent at the AUC Career Fair. So Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark each year have a career fair down in Atlanta. And so I take time out of my day to make sure I show that representation, right? So things like that. It's really great to work here because they allow you to wear as many hats as you want. Again, I'm not a recruiter, not at all, but they've allowed me this space to kind of tell my story and kind of exemplify how great of a corporation this is. Along with those lines, everyone here is literally genuine in their support. They want to see you progress. It's not like you get here, you're sticking to one lane. They don't want to see you kind of matriculate through your career. As you can see with me, I came in doing sales and now I'm in a whole different department with player development. So it's awesome that they treat everyone equally and they do kind of lean in to the diversity. One thing that I do as well is we have a HBCU task force. So you keep hearing me talking about historically Black colleges and universities, where we're really putting action to our talk in regards to making sure we're uplifting these golf programs, make sure we're providing career opportunities for HBCU students. And so within that HBCU task force, there are people from various departments and their specialties leaning in and providing support to what we can do to leverage our relationship with our corporate partners to provide monetary resources to HBCUs as well. And so again, it's been a great 3 years. I'm looking forward to the next 3 years and 10 years. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So it's really perfect that I ended up landing here.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's good to hear because I can say that my experience from working in the corporate space in golf has been similar, and that you do have that mobility to move throughout different departments, as long as you're willing and able and eager to learn. So, you don't come in there just being like, I'm going to be in this department for the next 20 years or until I retire. There's so many things to do, and there's obviously travel jobs and things that are pretty cool if you have that lifestyle that you want to live. So I can definitely say that's a pretty, I won't say standard in golf, but I feel like that's something that people don't know makes working in the golf industry very unique. So Sarah, being a recruiter, we know you see everybody's resumes. We know you go through the interview process. Can you give us some insight to some things that you've seen? I would say a little bit of do's and don'ts that you've seen from that process that you could recommend to people who might be interested in applying for jobs or internships there.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll start with some common mistakes that I see whenever I talk to people. So a lot of times whenever I join the call, say it's the first stage interviews, you're always going to talk with talent and culture. I get a lot of, I love golf. I love golf. I've been playing. I watch every single tournament, which that is amazing. We love fans, of course, but we are looking for employees. So that would be the biggest mistake, is just like, I've played, or this is my handicap. Really great information to know, but I want to hear the research that you've done. I want the mission statement, the core values. At the end of the day, the tour's culture is number one. So whenever I'm speaking with people and whenever I am just making that organic connection, I want to ensure that they kind of did their research. They know that we nonprofit. They know that we are community driven, our core values, ensuring that, that positive impact. So I'm asking questions in a sense of, tell me about something in your life that impacted you the most. So a little bit more personable to ensure that first it's the core, it's you. Does your values match our values? And it's vice versa. If you're looking for a company, you want to ensure that their core values and their mission matches yours, because that's how you're going to find the true passion for your career, is if you have the same mission statement, the core values, as the company that you're working for. So for me, the biggest thing is just doing your research and looking at, how much impact that company that we're doing to the communities and our D&I, statements and everything along those lines.
Thanks. I think that comment you said about coming in talking about your golf experience is definitely something people need to hear more. I think I know people who haven't gotten opportunities at certain golf companies, and they're baffled because of their extensive golf resume, whether they play collegiate golf or high level golf. They're just like, how could I not be the top candidate? And it's like, that is the least of the concerns. I can tell you right now, having worked for LPGA for 5 years, never once did they say, we need you to play golf for the sake of the company or anything of that nature. So if you ever think you could come work at a golf company and have to play golf, go ahead, Justin.
Oh, I do want to add a tip and trick that I used to get the interview. So once I read the job description, I went to LinkedIn and I tried to find anyone in that department that might have to do with the decision-making process. And I spammed all of their DMs. I sent them messages saying, hey, I applied for this job. This, short and sweet. I applied for this job. This is why I'm interested. This is why I think I'd be a good fit. Hopefully you consider me for an interview. One person responded saying, I appreciate you, but I ended up getting the interview maybe a week later, and then the rest is history. So that's one tip and trick. What Sarah said is super, super important. Statistics are great. The fact that you love the sport is great, but they really want to know who you are as a person and how you're going to impact the job description, essentially.
No, that's a great tip and trick. And I'm not that old, but I don't know that LinkedIn was my way in. But now that you've given me this tip, Justin, I want to remember that going forward if I should look for another job. We have another question in the chat along the lines of employment. Roughly, Sarah, could you share roughly how many employment opportunities you may currently have available? You have to list them all because it's probably a few. And what are the projections for the next 5 years as far as opportunities?
Now the tour is thriving, definitely. So we have about 60 openings right now that's on our job board to take a peek at, from tournament logistics to corporate sponsors to social media, on the entertainment sector. So we do have a lot. Now projected for 2024, we are going through all of that right now internally. You will see a flux of new positions for 2024 in the November timeframe. So I always let people know we do actively utilize teamwork.com. And you can put alerts. So that way, once those new positions come available, you can be alerted. So you can be the first one to apply to get your application in.
Yeah, for those who joined us, the job alert thing, I think is more common than I know. So definitely check out all these links to the job portal so that you can get the alerts for all the jobs that are coming up, in case there's nothing on there currently that you're looking for. So thanks for that. Thanks for that question, Sean. And so with that, I would like to talk more about, let's get into the perks, the fun stuff. What do you like, or share an experience actually that you feel was the most memorable working at the tour so far? And I'll go back to you, Justin, on that one.
So I won't give one. I've got a couple. One of the biggest perks, and again, I didn't play golf before I got here, but we do get a membership at TPC Sawgrass. So if any of you've ever watched the Players Championship, that is held here in our backyard at TPC Sawgrass. So we get a membership as a benefit. So that got me into golf. We also get a pretty good discount on equipment. So I got my equipment, got custom fitted, and I play Sawgrass a lot. So that is a great perk, especially if you love to play golf. Also, in regard to the job, specifically player development, and even my old sales job, a lot of travel involved. So I got to go to a lot of cities that I typically wouldn't go to. I've been to Omaha, Nebraska. I've been to Portland, Maine. Where else have I been? Savannah, Georgia. Like a lot of really cool places. And then specifically in my current job role, I get to work with collegiate golfers that go to HBCUs, right? So I graduated from HBCU, really close to my heart. So I'm able to work with them, share my experience, and help progress them, whether they're trying to be a professional golfer or if they're looking for careers within the sports industry. So those are a couple of things for me.
Yeah, great perks. That's actually something that people have asked, do you actually get to golf if you're working for a golf organization? So you all have that beautiful course right there in your backyard. I have yet to play it, even though I'm not too far from there. So maybe you guys can give me
a call. Let me know. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because if you ask someone that worked for the PGA of America that works at like the golf courses, they'll tell you the exact opposite. They don't golf at all. They don't get to play at all. But on our side, we get to play a little bit.
I feel like that was a moment of hate, Justin. Like you're like, come to us, we golf.
Hey, by any means, selling points by any means.
You did say you had a sales background. All right, so Sarah, can you share with us a memorable moment or something that you really enjoy about working at the PGA Tour?
So I'm going to piggyback off of Justin on that membership. It's a family membership. So with that membership, if you, your spouse, your little ones, it's not an individual membership. You can take your entire, family out and be TPC Sawgrass membership, which is really great benefit. Another cool benefit is, we do have a lot of little events throughout. During the summertime, we do employee golf, where it's a huge scramble there at TPC Sawgrass that kind of loops people together. It's kind of like a community in a sense. You come in, that community driven, and connect with different departments. That would probably be my favorite thing about the tour, is how much the culture and how much everybody kind of feels so positive and connected, and these little events that we do. Even today we're having, a PGA Tour mixer where the commissioner is coming to speak and it's like a mix and mingle and just like really information about the business. So we have these events as well that brings people together, which is always fun. So the events are really fun, the community impact, the membership, like Justin mentioned, amazing.
And to piggyback off of one of Sarah's points, we also have a handful of employee resource groups that put on different events and, again, get you to socialize and learn. So the one that I'm a part of is CORE. It essentially highlights the different cultural backgrounds of African Americans, the Jewish community, et cetera, et cetera. So what they'll do in our cafeteria is during those times, they'll do kind of educational pieces and also serve food based on that cultural background. So again, to Sarah's point, it's a real family oriented culture here. And everyone is welcome, no matter your golf expertise or what you look like.
Well, I know you all are spoiled because you just casually said in the cafeteria, and I have yet to work at a company that has a cafeteria.
Also a first for me.
So is it at first because the food is good?
No, first that there's an actual cafeteria in the building. And our building is only, 2.5 years old, Sarah? Maybe 3? You're on mute.
In office, 2021 and everything. So really excited. It's amazing food. Some of the best food that I've actually ate, and it's McDonald's prices, 5-star restaurant food. In the building, we also have a 24/7 gym, and we have a coffee bar as well. So a lot of perks just coming into the office. Our desks are they go up and down. So that way, you can go around. Another cool thing about the building is you don't have to stick to your desk. You can go and work in these focus rooms. There's different, there's like couches throughout the building that you can just go. So that way you can kind of meet with different people. You see different people. You can work in the cafe and everything. You don't have to be so glued to your desk, which is something I love because being corporate, you're so stuck to, you got to come in, sit one place, stay there, wrap up. And like here, you can take your laptop. I'm going to go work in the cafe. I'm going to go work with other departments. Sometimes I would pop in at Justin's department and be like, hey, anybody sitting here? Can I, just to get that socialization down as well. Another cool thing is the gym, the 24/7 gym. We do promote, we have different classes throughout the day that you can go in and jump into, so that way you're not stuck during lunchtime. You can go in there at 10 a.m. You can go, there's different from yoga classes to, breathing, like everybody take a second to breathe. A lot of different perks with it.
Yeah, you guys are skipping out on us. Those are some great perks. I'm really glad to hear it because, like I said, that is not normal for every golf company out there. And also, I just want to add on the swag, right? The uniforms and so forth. I feel like that's something that I haven't purchased. I don't think a shirt. I don't know. The last time I had to purchase a golf shirt because you get so much free, gear and also discounted gear being on the tour. So just want to throw that out there as well. We do have a question in the chat, and I was going to lead to this anyway. So thank you for asking, Ro. Remote positions and just hybrid schedules. What does that look like for people right now at the tour?
So most of our positions, they do require you to relocate to the global home here in Florida. We do have some remote options, like mentioned prior, the event logistics, where people actually travel to the tournament and set up from those hospitality tents to electricity, to that part is remote, but majority of our positions do require you to come in office. We are hybrid. So for some departments, every department's ran a little bit differently, but for some departments, you can work remote 2 days out of the week and 3 days in office. Again, that in-person, interpersonal, setup is really important to our culture.
Got it. Yes, that's I think that's pretty typical for a lot of organizations but for sure, the amount of travel you probably do, it almost feels remote sometimes. I'm guessing. So I got a question going back to Justin earlier about what you do in your field of player development. How are people able to connect? So let's just say you have a person who's a high school student who aspires to play. Are they able to connect directly to the tour through this player development program, or do you do it through organizations?
So a combination of both. So part of our strategy in the junior space is to align with different organizations that have a focus on diverse junior golf. So we've aligned with Steph Curry's Underrated Tour, the AJGA. So if you have a talented high school golfer, they probably have heard of one of those. But if you don't know where to go, obviously you can reach out to myself. And we can kind of point you in that right direction and try to get them aligned with these organizations that are local to your community. And then once we align and identify, we then recruit kids from those organizations to be part of our Junior Pathways to Progression program, where we provide some career development opportunities via teams online. And then we actually bring the group down to Ponte Vedra to TPC Sawgrass at our performance center to get instruction from some of the best in the world. They get to play the stadium course here at TPC. We take them out to dinner, kind of a whole activation. And then we also provide stipends to help with equipment and instruction to, again, create a path for them to prepare themselves to go to college, whether it's an HBCU or a predominantly white institution. We just want to make sure they're aware that you do have support if you want to go the professional route. And then we also can kind of guide you in regards to what career in golf could be available as well.
So from my understanding, the player development that you all have is really targeted to, I won't say an elite golfer, but definitely someone who has experience and has already been playing at a tournament level. And I only bring that up because I would say the contrast would be like PGA Junior League, which is under the PGA of America, which is more of a entry level type of program to get kids playing, but not necessarily has to be elite. So am I clear on that?
Yeah, yep. So we more so lean on our friends at the First Tee in regards to introducing the game and the development from getting clubs in your hands. We step in regards to the identifying of those who have got to that point and kind of put them in position and educate on how you can continue that trajectory to collegiate golf, then to whether it's depending on your skill set, Corn Ferry Tour, all of our other opportunities on the PGA Tour, or the APGA Tour, and other ways for you to still get your competitive reps in to prepare yourself if you're still chasing that professional dream.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad to hear that because I know you all don't necessarily do the PGA Works that's under PGA of America, but I think that was the only game in town for quite some time. And so, that's a good thing to hear. There's something on the horizon. I have another question. How can a grassroots organization that's not First Tee engage with you?
We're definitely open to figuring out how we can continue to elevate our junior programs or even our collegiate development program. So Jamie has my contact information. So if anyone has any specific questions, I can connect you to myself and then my VP of player development. His name is Kenyatta Ramsey. He focuses more on the junior arm and I'm more of the collegiate. But again, we're definitely open and willing to figure out how we can continue to support and elevate that area of the game.
That's good to know. We actually did have that chat offline, and once I learned of it, I said, we got to connect with the BGD because I have a plethora of junior programs that I think have your target audience of kids and would just love to know the information that we're sharing today. So for those on the call, please share this information. This is why we're doing this, is so that people can learn what's available out there, not just from an employment standpoint, but just from the company as a whole. And I'm really impressed because the PGA Tour is doing some big things that I'm learning today for the first time. So there's some great questions in the chat, but we're going to get wrapping up soon. So I would just, as we continue on, just talk about, if somebody is considering working there, why should they consider? Because that's something I like to always end on. And as we are doing that end, if anyone has any additional questions, please put them in the chat. I'll start with you, Sarah.
If you're considering working for a PGA Tour, it's some of the things like I've previously mentioned, just positivity, the values, the core mission is really important. Going onto our website, our career website, and really looking at all the different opportunities that we have. We are growing tremendously. We're actually building a brand new production studio right next to Global Home. It's going to be the largest production studio in the state of Florida. We're very, very excited about that. That's anticipated, our ribbon cutting 2025 of January anticipated. But we're really excited about that. So in the world that we're living in now, if you're looking for stability and growth with a positive working culture, the tour would be a great place for you.
That's so cool. Production studio. So I just have a quick question. What will go on in a production studio?
So you have to think of our live ESPN actually will home a couple of those studios as well. So it's everything that you would need to kind of for those live broadcasts, to get the behind the scenes, to editing rooms, to we have all the social platforms and everything. So anything that you kind of think about a production from broadcast and stuff, that would be the studios. Right now we're in World Golf Hall of Fame, close to St. Augustine. They're moving those studios to Global Home here in Ponte Vedra Beach, going from, only one studio in the building to, 7 to 12 studios. And it's going to be it's a massive, you can go online to see kind of the difference of where we're at and where we're going to be at.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, Justin, could you share with us why you believe someone who's interested should come to the PGA Tour?
Absolutely. Sarah touched on two big ones, growth and stability. During my job search during COVID, that was two things that I was focusing on, is specifically stability. As you heard from my background, typically the way you matriculate through a professional sports industry is hopping from team to team or league to league. I could tell if I was fortunate enough to get hired at the PGA Tour, that I would have a long-lasting career. There's a lot of stability. There's a lot of growth. Again, you can jump from department to department. Once you're in and you kind of prove your worth and prove yourself, the possibilities are endless. And then the other two items I like to speak about a lot are impact and influence. So no matter what you do within these walls, again, whether it's marketing, whether it's business development, whether it's recruiting, whether it's player development, whether it's player partnerships, you're making an impact and an influence in every community that we play in. We talked about this a little bit before, but it's really unique how our business model is set up. We have all these tournaments. We're headquartered at Ponte Vedra at the Global Home, but we play all around the world. And so we have host organizations that are partners. We have companies that are corporate partners. And so we're truly making a really, really, really big impact, and we're being influential, leveraging our golf platform to change communities around the world. So those are kind of the biggest things that I think if you're considering and you want to be a part of that, this is definitely a place to be.
Awesome. I want to thank you both for your input. And I want to remind the audience that if you didn't hop on earlier, you can get the recording of this through the email. So just go to the top of the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, click on that link to register for free. You'll also get the link to their career page and also reminders for their upcoming opportunities. I want to thank you both again, Sarah and Justin, and also those who are watching. And I will see you all for our last and final interview tomorrow with Golf Digest at 12 p.m. right here with BGD Virtual Career Fair. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for having us.
Yeah.
Take care.